Okay, let's try this one more time. I had this whole sketch recorded before and everything was just perfect, and I watched it a little bit afterwards and the picture was all screwed up. So I'm just going to run through the sketch that I just did and we can add a little bit more to it. Right now I've got this instrument that I made along the way while I was developing this note to map shuffler. And this is just kind of a noise generator. And right now I've got some heavy probability on a lot of these note shufflers. I've got this whole array of note shufflers. Each one is mapped to a different parameter, and they all have different lengths of shuffle steps. And now that I'm actually thinking about it, I kind of want to make one of these, a version of these where you have like 8 different mappers. So all in one, you can just map to a whole bunch of different spots using one. But for now, I've just got them kind of spread out. I've got this chain here sending the MIDI notes through. I've got a little bit of a note probability here. And I've got a little bit of delay, kind of a random delay it looks like here. Oh no, that's just mapped to that. But anyway, this layer here, it's kind of like a vintage synthesizer type drone generator. Since I've got a lot of these random steps on a lot of different parameters of this operator. And then I've got the grain delay, which adds an extra level of weirdness. Love that effect. And then the resonator is kind of sort of creating a lo-fi spring reverb type sound when you pitch it way down and you use mode B. Nice, interesting spring reverb texture there. And then this warp and flow gives it a bit of a sort of tape thing. And here I had recorded a bunch of instances of this schlockhausin instrument group, and I have some layers going in there. So one of the things I did in the last sketch attempt was show off some things that are incoming that I want to share, I guess, exclusively on this sketch series, and then later release them on the Max for Live site for the general public or whatever. One, I guess the biggest one is a 1.2 update for the sketch tool, and I'll just show off really quick some of the features that I've got going on in there. The biggest new interesting feature for me anyway, just kind of like in the last sketch, how we were sort of jumping along in the sample. This one has a button, and if you send MIDI notes in it, as long as they're in this range zone, mapping zone here, they'll jump to different sections. The notes can jump to different sections on the sample. So the higher the note, the farther along it is, and then this will control the length of the chunk that it jumps along with. We've got a probability section here, which is amazing for notes, incoming notes. And this filter section will act a little bit more like your traditional versus how it was before, where you would move the root note down and that would move the C down with it. So this one is a little bit more traditional in the way it just clips the notes. And we have a probability now in the note generator section, which I think is incredibly huge and creates some extra interesting effects. When we hit record, we automatically turn off the note generator. I've always was annoyed by that when recording, so now that will just sort of happen automatically. Other tiny little improvements, like when I hit save, it's always using wave files. I just find those I don't know, like wave files better, a bit of a nostalgist. So anyway, that's one thing coming down the pipe, and then we've got some older effects that I had messed with a long time ago, but I got back into them and updated them and changed the way made them look a little bit better. This is a 4-step sequencer. We've got a MIDI version of this as well. And you can map those 4 sequences to, of course, anything you want. I might add more mapping options in each one of these, extended out here. We'll see. We've got this 8 mapping randomizer, and this is an audio version, so it takes audio input, and if the audio goes above a threshold, then it changes the parameters random. So if you have like a beat going in there, you can have the parameters changing randomly to the beat. You know, and I haven't really played around with it as far as like the latency goes on the mapping. It may be a lot better in Max 8. I know I built these in Max 7, and there's never a lot of delay compensation there. This MIDI version, it's basically the same thing as this, but this MIDI version, it takes incoming MIDI notes. So when a note hits it, it changes the parameters to a random, jumps to a random point. And you can add smoothing in these and everything else. So yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of this layer here. Yeah, we can hear our Schlockhausin layer kind of going crazy. Let's bring in the regular 1.1. I want to just add another layer of, let's see how much we're doing on time. Oh, I am just blathering on here. So obviously we're going to make this a little quick to keep within the 10 minutes. I also brought in for this sketch this crap cassette, one of my favorite third-party Max for Live plugins. You've probably used it before. I think it does a great job of kind of giving that feel for like old, dirty tape recordings. So let's pull from our Schlockhausin. I just want to kind of use that as the basis. It looks like we're not getting anything there, so we've got a really low probability going on here. So we can also manually adjust this even though it's been mapped. There we go. Now let's record some of that. Forgot to turn that off, so we're going to hear some stuff there. Not always a bad thing, but I personally, yeah, let's just go ahead and record some of that. I want to get like a bassy kind of pulse. And I'm just going to sort of hit record going down the line. Let's turn this one down, -1 every second. It'd be nice to have that probability in there. And within the next week or so, I should hopefully have that 1.2 done. We're on holiday here right now, Thanksgiving, and there's of course just not as much time to put along to this kind of stuff. Although I find these sketches super fun, so I'm just, of course, still trying to keep up with the sketching every day if possible. This could almost be a bit of a snare type of sound here. Let's take our sustain down. See, can we go any lower? No. So what we can do is turn the high pass on. A little trick, around 30, we can boost the res and get a kind of a kick out of it. Let's take this down to 20. Maybe 25. 27. Seems to only want to go in the steps of 10. Okay, that should be fine for now. Let's turn this up a little bit. And let's space this out 12. Let's do some more recording here. Record, turn that off. Turn this down a little bit. I also might change it so that the note generator is off by default. I'm on the fence on that one. It's useful if it's on, if you're just dragging in samples, which I think is probably the more popular use case. So I think that's probably where I'll leave it. Just leave it on and have it turn off automatically when you hit the record button. All right, cool. So I think for this redo sketch, we're good enough for now. And until next time, happy holiday.